what up everyone? It's your boy Ivan, DJ Superfly, again here with a unboxing, installation, kind of a tutorial video on the Innofader Rane. It's for the Performer. Elliot hasn't updated, the boxes and all that, and the online ordering. So there's a specific way to order this with the specifics of, what you need to for your Rane Performer. I've been waiting for literally an Innofader for the Rane Performer, at least the compatibility, because sometimes, it takes a while for manufacturers and all that, but it seems like Rane has been on top of it, allowing, third-party faders like Innofader joining the team. So thank you to Rane. I appreciate them doing that. And also thank you to Innofader for coming up with a fix. It took a while, a few months, right? But still, we got here. We're on a whole different level now that we have Innofader available for the Rane Performer. It's already available for the Rane 4 and all that. It just takes time and programming and all that. So big ups to Elliot. So I did order. This is a Innofader that I ordered. This is not sponsored by anybody. I decided because my Rane, usually all the Rane products that I own, I don't like their faders. It's just because they're a little sticky, and that's just my preference. Everyone has their own, preference on what they like on their mixers or whatever. So I've always stuck with Innofaders. Rane is just, I don't know, it's just been a thing for me, right? And this is something that I recommend as well, just because, at least for me, because I live in a very cold climate in Minnesota, so my faders get sticky when I'm out performing. And you gotta wait a while for the faders to defrost, but I haven't had this issue with the Innofader. So all right, so we're gonna go ahead and start with the process. You need a screwdriver to take the plate off. Now, I recommend, I don't know if you have, or if you work with any of the electronics to open them up or whatever. So I have this little pry tool, so I just recommend just going under there and just pop them off like that. Set them off to the side, and of course, turn off your mixer or controller. So yes, let's start with that maybe first. So we're gonna go ahead and take these off quick, get these up real quick. All right, now we take the faceplate off there. And you can see we get access to the fader here. Now we're gonna go ahead and remove that. Once that's removed, we're gonna flip it around like this, and you can kind of see there's a little pigtail here. We're just gonna disconnect that. And that's the Mag 4 fader. So it's here, you can just leave it in the bracket. We're gonna use the one for the Innofader. So for this, we're gonna need, of course, the Innofader here. We got that there. We're gonna need this connector. We gotta jump some cables to make it work so that the Innofader communicates with the mixer. And then we need these screws. So there's a bunch of screws there. And then we also need that plate here, which I'm grabbing off to the side, which is this one. So you're gonna kind of see those little inlets, little spaces there to make sure it fits into the mixer there. If you can see, if you align them correctly, then you're good. So we're gonna go ahead and get this figured out here. So we're gonna go ahead and get the screws that we need for all this stuff. So it's just these two screws that come with it. Make sure to save the other screws that came with that came off from the other fader, because that's what the plate's gonna connect to the mixer. So we're gonna attach these to this. All right, so there we go. We got the bracket installed. Now I did see in the back here, there's a small gap that if they interfere with these dials here, which they don't, which is pretty cool, there is spacers included. So they include some spacers to, add in between that screw, just kind of push that up if, that bothers you or so. But there's enough space in there at least to get, movement and all that. So to fix the cut-ins and all adjustments and all that. So yeah, I believe it's gonna face this way because we're facing this, but we'll try it once we get it all connected. And next up, we're gonna go ahead with the actual connectors here, the jumpers, to make it all work. If you can see, there's color-coded cables, right? So we need to connect this small end, which is just a 3-pin pin end to this other one as well. So, but we need to follow the right color through, like follow through, if that makes sense. So we got to make sure that blue matches to the blue wire on this end, the green in the middle, and then the gray on the bottom there. I don't know if you can see that. So we just got to make sure we follow that correctly, because that's just the way, you know, it's programmed to do it. So next we're gonna go ahead and find the right one for the fader. So this one I believe is a 4. It's like a 4 connector, but it's actually 3, and it's this one. So we just push it right in there, make sure it's snugged in there correctly. Cool. And then we're gonna go to the Innofader here, and I believe it's this one. So it only goes in one way. If you try to put it in this way, it won't go. So you gotta flip it around like this and push it in this way. Perfect. Okay, we're almost there. Now the board, this board here, we're gonna grab this connection that's hanging in from here, and then we're gonna connect it to the board. I could have done this the other way. I could have just connected to the board first, but we got to make sure that it's working properly. So there we go, and it only goes one way, so it's got little slots and everything. So make sure not to force it in or whatever. So, and I'm sorry it's like very to the edge of the video, but there it is. Okay, we got it plugged in. We got to make sure this is good. Plugged in like that. Okay, we're gonna tuck it in here. Now, I don't know if you were paying attention earlier to what I said. So we gotta make sure this is out of the way, just to make some clearance for this fader here. So you can kind of see, if I put it in there, I didn't put it in there correctly. There's that little board that I put in there. We gotta squish it off to the side. So we're gonna move it here, maybe off to the side there, out of the way, and there we go. Perfect. We got enough clearance from the top of this mixer to the bottom. There's enough clearance where we can fit this fader, so which is cool. Before, you'd have to angle it this way and then have an angle bracket L, like an L bracket, where the fader's actually sticking out this way, and you know, the fader's this way, or whatever. All this stuff's in the way, so that's pretty neat. That's why it's a simple install. Now, before we continue though, I do need to fix this tension. So to me, it's a little rough. So we're gonna grab that screwdriver that it came with, and it's usually the very top one. Yep. And this is small enough to fit in here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get it right in the middle. There's a little screw knob there. So, or a little, I should not say knob, it's a little screw. We're gonna go ahead and release some tension, which is the negative. If you go all the way, you're pushing that screw against the board. So you don't want that. Like, it's stuck right now. We're gonna maybe tighten it just a little bit, and I can still feel some rubbing on it. So we're gonna go ahead. There we go. And that's probably how loose I like it. Like, it's really smooth this way. So another way to test it is if we add the fader cap and just kind of see, just by moving it, you can see how smooth that is. That's crazy. I love that. And that's what I like it. This is my style, right? Where I'm scratching, I can just go like slightest movements and it'll just feel it, right? So, okay. Now, before we actually install it, you know, so that it's in here permanently, we're gonna go ahead and make the adjustments. All right, so I had to stop recording because I couldn't get the fader to work, and yeah, it was a little frustrating thinking that it was my end, but it wasn't. What happens is that this board that he programs, right, he flashes it with the firmware to make it work with the actual firmware of the controller. It was not working for that reason. So this is flash for the previous firmware that the mixer or the controller had. So I'm the latest, or had the latest firmware. So I think it's I don't have it on top of my head. It is hold on, I can look here. I got the sheet on the side of me. So it is version 1.2.0.10. So if you're in that version, the Innofader is not going to work for you. Elliot mentioned that he's working on an updated board to make it work, right? So what I had to do is I basically had to downgrade. I had installed the older firmware version for it to work. because this, again, this is programmed for the older firmware to work. So I know there's some DJs out there that don't necessarily update their firmware or don't know how to update their firmware. So if you're in the older firmware, you can definitely do this, and just when you order from Innofader, it's going to ask you on the website, and I'll show you here on the screen. At the very end, when you're getting ready to check out, make sure you write the controller, right? Rane, Performer, and then what version of firmware you have. So the way to look into that, I'm gonna try to scoop this in if I can. If you can't see it, I'm sorry, but it's very tiny. So let me escape out of the menu. So if you hit Shift and Menu, you go down and you go and look for firmware. So firmware, and then controller. So you can't really see it, but the top one there, controller, and it tells you, you can't really see, but I'm in the older version now. I'm trying to adjust it so you guys can see. I hope you guys can see. It is 1.1.0.13. So that's the older version, right? So it works with this version, and I've been playing with it here. We're trying to get the contours and everything set to my liking. But yeah, I guess we can come back to this this installation, right? So if you're having this issue, and if you've already bought, I know Elliot mentioned that there's a few people that bought this and they haven't had this issue, and it's probably this, is that I have had the updated version of firmware. And if you do, and if you want to get on the Innofader, you can easily downgrade. There's not necessarily a big difference, right? I mean, they did fix a bunch of like little fixes like that was wrong with the mixer, and to me, it worked. Both firmwares worked for me, so I had no issues. So yeah, make sure when you order one to put in the firmware version, and then he'll post an update. I'll also post an update on this video on YouTube and on the Rane group. If you have not followed that group, I'll also put the link on the video description below, so you guys can follow there. And I'll give a shout out, right? And when Elliot does the whole, because these take a while to program, right? You got to figure out the coding and all that, and for him to go to every single little board and program it to how it needs to be, so that it works with the version of firmware that you have for your controller. So it goes same with mixers and all that, and it just all depends on firmware updates, and companies like Rane or wherever you're dealing with, they do that, right? And it's to fix issues and all that. But good thing that they're on top of it. So I'm just gonna go back to the installation video and continue here. I know that I recorded some stuff previously, but as you can see now, it's all good to go. It's like butter. I love this. This is, yeah, it's just crazy. So I ended up going with these settings. Now the fader actually goes in like this. So when you put it in the back of the mixer or in the controller, it goes there. And to adjust the settings, so this is the left setting, the cut in setting. This is the curve, right? So I kind of had it, sorry, it's upside down. I put it kind of close to 12 o'clock, and this one's like about 2 o'clock. So this is I'm a right hand scratcher, so when I scratch, right, I get it here. So I fixed the cut in time. So what's cool about this Innofader is that you can adjust. You can adjust besides whatever the setting is in the cut in time in the actual menu of the mixer. You can also do it here. Now it gives you a little bit more precision once you get it to where you like it, right? And then you can just play with it, right? And usually what I do is play a loop or whatever on a track. So I got my motor on here. I'll show you here in a bit. Get it to where you like, because I mean, I have the fader. I just use the Rane fader. It comes off, so I recommend that you use the Innofader fader that came in the box. So just play with it, get it to where you need to. Now if you encounter some bleeding, meaning that if you touch this to the end, there's an LED that kind of shows, it's right there. See the LED? It turns off whenever you reach the ends. So that's what's sending the signal to the mixer. there is a way to fix this if you're having issues. Another thing I wanted to show is that people have, you know, not necessarily, I wouldn't say that people have, it's just that it's hard to find this information online because there's so many faders, and they've made so many of these faders that it's crazy. But there is a way to reset this in case you're having issues. So I wanted to show you that here quick. So the way to do it is you hold this to the left, and then there's a little button in the middle right there. So if you hold this crossfader there and you hold this button, I press it down, move it all the way to the right, and move it all the way to the left. Now let go, and you kind of see it blinking. It's got to blink 12 times for it to reset. I know it's a little hard, so I'm trying to like get it so you guys can see it. But once it blinks, and if you're having that bleeding issue and all that, it has to do with sometimes calibrating the fader correctly. So that's one of the nice things that I like about this, you know, it having its own bracket. And if I need to adjust it right, I just take off the screws and do all the adjustments that I need to. But I've been messing with it here in, you know, in the time that I was talking with Elliot and just fixing it, right? And yeah, I can't put words to it because it's just a different feeling. This is like a butter smooth fader, kind of like, I don't want to compare it, but Pioneer, you know, their Magville faders, they're kind of, I wouldn't say similar. They have their own little versions of it. This one has a little bit more of that smooth feeling, and it has to do with the tension adjustments and all that. I did not put the deoxit lube because I think it's pretty good. If there's issues or whatever in the future, then I'll do that. I think I have some videos of applying, but I believe there's some on the internet too that show you how to do it. But yeah, it is crazy. So what I'm gonna do now is put it back, right? Go ahead and go with that, and then just show y'all, just so y'all can listen to, you know, the difference, at least for me, right? There is a little slight difference of the contour and all the curves that I did for getting it the way I like it. And it's just something that I, you know, I've always wanted. I didn't like the Magville, or sorry, the Rane fader, the Mag 4 I should say, because it was sticking. As you can see, this one is not sticking. This is like butter. This bounces between my fingers here. It doesn't matter if I'm going this side or on this side. You can see it's pretty nice, very soft. And that's me when I'm scratching. I like, you know, just feeling that nice crab scratch, right? And that's just preference. Again, it's up to you guys. But I'm gonna go ahead and install this back in to the mixer, and then we'll come back showing you how it sounds. All right, so we're gonna make it official. We're gonna put on the actual Innofader cap and then the sticker to make it legit. All right, and there she is. So I'm gonna do a scratch test, do an after video as well, compare them both so you can kind of see what, you know, they sound like, and you be the judge. So with that being said, let's jump into it. And if you guys have any questions, please drop them down below. Reach out to me, reach out to Elliot or Patrick or at Innofader if you're interested in, you know, getting one of these. Again, don't forget to pay attention to what firmware version you have. This one will only work on the firmware, the older firmware. I'm not sure if there's a firmware besides this one or before this one. I know this is the one that's been worked on. So if you're in the newer version, you're gonna have just to wait. I suggest to watch out, you know, on socials if you want to get this installed on your firmware. Otherwise, you can just downgrade, and that's just easy as downloading the older driver from the Rane website, installing it, and then basically just flash the firmware back to the older version, which is cool. I'm glad that Rane did that and is allowing that, so it won't break your, you know, your device. But again, this is all just, you know, my stuff, my opinions. Take it with a grain of salt, because I don't want your your mixers to get bricked or anything like that. So yeah, I mean, reach out if you have questions, and with that, we'll just leave it off with, you know, some of the comparisons. So thanks for sticking around, and we hope you like the Innofader. Before I forget, You can purchase these directly from Innofader.com. There's a specific version of it, and it's still got to get put up there. Again, reach out to Elliot and or Patrick just to make sure that you're getting the right version, because you got to get that right board that he sends, as long as, you know, with the cable and that metal bracket. You can kind of see it there, which is pretty cool. I like that because it just covers from dust getting in there. So it's one of the reasons too why I like that. Compared to the Ranes, you can see it's kind of, you see the rails there, so if there's any dust that gets in there. This one's rough. Like, these faders are, you can see they're rough. I have to push these out, and this is like super soft. Like, just bounce them. Anyway, I'm just gonna stop doing the comparison because, yeah. You can also reach out to AGI Pro DJ. Again, they're not paying me to post this anywhere. It's just somewhere. Some of the guys that I like dealing with, and some of the manufacturers, or not manufacturers, but distributors that put these out there for the DJs to use. So either AGI Pro DJ or Innofader, right? So there's the two that I recommend getting the Innofader from. So yeah, we'll go ahead and get into the actual scratching part and let y'all hear the difference, and y'all be the judge. All right, y'all, it was nice having y'all, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.
Slow down. Speak it up.
Tick tock, 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 tick, 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 tock, tock, you don't stop. Yo, you don't stop, stop. You don't stop.
Turn up, it's finna go down, go down, go down, go down, go down.